Good morning, everybody. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking. Time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much of what it used to be. Anyways, it is Thursday. We made it over the hump. And let me just tell you how Wednesday is Mercury's day yesterday. And Mercury is moving so slow in the sign of its fall and detriment, Pisces, because it's getting ready to station retrograde. And Mercury was like, okay, I know it's my job to transmit signals and such, but for some reason, like, I just don't think I can do it. So it was like, sorry, Dana, your Instagram live is going to be super whack this morning, which it was, because it stopped in the middle of my video, and I don't even know if it got uploaded. So Mercury, slow in Pisces, ready to retrograde 1, Dana 0. Such is life. Here we are. Today, I'm going to do something a little bit different for y'all. We're going to see how it's working out. So, for those of you who have followed me for a while know that there was once upon a time that I used to do these live broadcasts on YouTube, doing the astrology for the month ahead, and life just got real with life. And so, yeah, I haven't done one in a while. But today I decided I'm going to try to squeeze one in, which means that I can't do a lot of small talk because Instagram likes to eventually cut off your video because they don't let you do live forever. So, yeah, let's get started. What are the big deal shiggity wiggity diggities of March? That's how I usually start. We talk about what's the big picture, what's really happening, and then we'll go through the details week by week, day by day, and we're going to try to keep it succinct. We're going to try to keep it concise and brief so that y'all can get all the information, and hopefully Mercury cooperates with me today. Dear Mercury, please cooperate. I'll work with you. Okay, let's just say that. And I'm going to be able to upload this on YouTube, and we'll have like some kind of March forecast. Isn't that so awesome? So, big picture of March 2019 for sidereal astrology. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades in 2019. There are 3. They all begin with Mercury stationing retrograde in a water sign. And the retrograde movement is ended with Mercury stationing direct, meaning stop, pause, time to move forward, in air signs. This one pauses, goes back in Pisces, pauses, goes forward in Aquarius. That's number 1. Number 2, we've got this new moon in Aquarius that is all intertwined with this Mercury retrograde, which is just like, woo! That's next week. Then the other like super huge deal is that Jupiter has run its bathwater for Sagittarius, but it's too hot. So Jupiter's just gonna dip his toe in for a little bit and be like, nah, it's not ready. It's gotta cool off a little bit before Jupiter, that's my analogy, before Jupiter gets into Sagittarius for real. So at the end of the month, Jupiter is going to take a little toe dive into Sagittarius. Let me see if there's anything else. Let's see. That's really the big deal stuff. So let's start from the top. First thing happening this month is next week. We begin on March 5th with Mercury stationary retrograde at 5 degrees Pisces. So let me just make a little bit of a connection for you. I like to note when planets go over a specific portion of the zodiac in a relatively close time frame. So especially when something significant is happening like a retrograde. So for this particular retrograde, I'm thinking about Mars recently in Pisces and Aquarius. So Mars would have been in Aquarius until December 23rd, 2018, when it would have gone over into Pisces. So let me pull up my trusty ephemeris while I'm driving so safely here. All right, people. All right, don't walk out in front of me. Thanks. Let's see. That's 2018. So what I'm looking for is, when did Mars cross over at 21 degrees of Aquarius? That 21 degrees is hot all year long, but for real right now. So let's see, Mars was at 21 degrees Aquarius on December 10th. December 10th, 2018. And then it crossed 5 degrees Pisces between December 31st, 2018 and January 1st, 2019. So basically the meat of December is a point in time that it seems that we are revisiting in some way, shape, or form. So think about what was the major story of that time for you. You can really think of whatever those dates I gave, December 10th through December 31st, thank you, as a pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde. Like, so we're in the shadow right now, but that was like a pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde, December 10th through December 31st. So what was I doing? I was packaging up calendars and mailing them, and some people got them before Christmas, but then the printer I was using decided that they were no longer doing business in America and didn't tell me that until they had already made that decision. And so now I've spent the entirety of this Mercury retrograde shadow dealing with an incompetent printer, right? Who I called last night. He says they're going to be ready. How many times has my printer told me these things were going to be ready? Anyways, that's the point. You could look back. What were you doing? Who were you talking to? What kind of conversations, interactions, what you were doing, and how are they coming back? Let's do a really quick recap of Aquarius and Pisces, and then we're going to move on. So real quick recap of Aquarius and Pisces. These two signs next to each other are so fascinating. And I was reading the chart of a client yesterday who had these two signs occupied by important points and planets in their chart. And I was thinking, like, man, that's a really rough adjacent placement, but it's good at the same time, because Aquarius is like, yo, let me just tell you how who I am is more than my family designation, like my role in my family, daughter, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, cousin, mother, father, right? I'm more than just my biological inheritance of, you know, who I come from and what I come from and where I come from. I'm more than that. I can be what I want, meaning I am not, who I am is not determined by my biology, right? That's why Aquarius and Cancer are in, like, they're not in a good relationship with each other. They miss each other, because Cancer is like, you are who you come from. You are the blood that courses through you. You are the women who have shaped you and birthed you. And Aquarius is like, I am who I say I am. Ain't that a song? I am what I say I am. That's a song. I gotta find that. Anyway, so Aquarius says, I am what I say I am. Now, for all of you people who think you're Pisces in tropical, let me just tell you how you're probably not, unless you were born between March like 15th and March 20th, 21st, right? More than likely you're Aquarius. And one of the fascinating things I find about people who have Sun in Aquarius is how their fathers somehow have rejected societal expectations of what fatherhood looks like, for good or ill, often without guilt, remorse, or regret, right? Meaning, for example, my father is a sidereal Aquarius sun. And my father has intentionally, he does have Sagittarius moon, so there's that. But my father intentionally decided what fatherhood would look like for him, what manhood would look like for him, and it was rooted in giving his children a different experience than he had with his father. Now, his father was a wonderful father, present his entire life, but because of cultural circumstances, my grandfather worked 50 hours a week, right? He never, he was never home. My dad told me how, like, on the weekend, Saturday, really the only day, him and his siblings would just stand at the foot of their father's bed, my grandfather's bed, waiting for him to wake up, because that was the only time that he would have seen his father. He didn't have deep conversations or connections with his father. And so his father, right, his father was this intellectual man who, born in a different space and time, would have had his PhD and would have been a renowned scholar. But because, you know, he was born in 1920 something, and they were like, nah, down here in central Illinois, we don't accept the blacks at the university. Fast forward, my brother ended up attending one of the universities that would not accept him, right? Anyways, so all of that to say, for women who have sun in Aquarius, right, often their fathers deviate from societal expectations of what fatherhood should look like, for good or ill. For my father, who actually has sun in Aquarius, for him, it meant that he would allow my mother to be the breadwinner and have the career, and he would move his work schedule around and be flexible so he could be home with us, pick us up from school, make lunches, go on field trips. My father used to shampoo my hair and blow dry my hair before I went to get my braids put in back in the 90s. And he would take me to the braid lady. I can't recall one day in my life that my mother took me to the braid lady, right? That's because she was getting her hair done on Saturdays. But the whole point is that my father definitely shaped for himself, being a man with sun in Aquarius, shaped for himself what a fatherhood would be. So all of this to say, as we're having this Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, primarily we are thinking about the ways in which we can use language to shape identities that are not determined by our biology, who we are the child of, who we are the sister of, what our social status is out in the world, what power we might have validated or not out in the world, okay? Yes, look at you, winning. So the Pisces side, right? Pisces is water. Pisces is all about the permeability of the human body. Oh, y'all, let me just tell y'all how I'm really smart. I just be coming up with stuff in my brain, the way astrology speaks to me, and then I'll read something and be like, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. So there is something called interoceptive relationship or perception of your body, and exteroceptive. Interoceptive is the mind, body, like neurological system of the mind communicating with the body about things that are happening in the body, like hunger or fear, right? It's all about how we perceive our bodies. Interoceptiveness is about how we perceive the internal processes of the body. This is Cancer, right? You guys have heard me talk about this before. Pisces is about the exteroceptive perceptions of feeling in our body, the ways in which we are able to perceive how things outside of us affect our bodies. I'm going to post this article that outline these concepts for me in scientific sense, but I've already outlined them astrologically, so I'm just making the connection here. So Pisces, again, if Aquarius is saying, no, I determine, Pisces is talking about, okay, but we can go further than that. We can go further than just saying that I get to self-determine and that I ultimately have sovereignty over myself and I have dominion over my being and my sense of self and how I see myself. Pisces is saying that my body, my physical experience of my body is not limited to the physical boundaries that I perceive with my eyes. Let me say that again. Pisces teaches us that the physical boundaries of my body, meaning I can feel beyond my body. When I talk about Pisces, experiencing meaning beyond the tangible, beyond the physical, right? We're really talking about beyond my body. Metaphysical means beyond the physical. It does not mean non-physical. It just means beyond the physical. So we can talk about Pisces as experiencing our bodies beyond the limits of our bodies. If Aquarius is like, well, I can experience my mind and my sense of self beyond the limits of these things. Pisces is like, I will one up you. I can experience my body beyond the limits of these things. So one of the things I was thinking about this morning that I talked about in the video on Mercury retrograde that you can find on my YouTube channel is that Mercury in Pisces teaches us that language is an approximation. Twice now I've come across the phrase or idea that I'm going to paraphrase like this, that words are the clothing that intellect wears. Words are but a covering for something, right? And Pisces knows this. Pisces knows that words are not the thing, that words are an approximation for experience. Words are an approximation for thought. Words are approximation for perception. Words are an approximation for feeling. And an approximation means that those words will never truly embody the essence of a thing, of an experience, of a person, of an idea. Okay? So next up, let's move on from that. So Mercury stations retrograde March 5th. That means stop, go back, and revisit conversations about how you're experiencing meaning beyond the tangible, right? We can come back to that another time. You can just watch another video. The next day, March 6th, and I just lost my calendar. Come on. Hold on. The next day, March 6th, is the new moon in Aquarius. So Monday, March 5th, is that Monday? Monday, March 4th, and, oh no, okay, I lied. Tuesday, March 5th, and Wednesday, March 6th is a back-to-back day of mind-blowing astrological synchronicity and activity, because Mercury is going to station direct at 5 degrees, but the very next day the sun and moon are going to conjoin at 21 degrees, which is the precise degree of where Mercury is going to station direct on March 28th. Okay, so last week Monday, which was the 18th, right? We had all kind of stuff going on. It was like the moon was waxing to fullness, Venus was conjunct Saturn and Sagittarius, and Mercury entered its retrograde shadow. What was Monday and Tuesday like for you next week? Wasn't it insane? I know. This was the Mercury retrograde yin yang boogala boogala blue, right? So next week, March 6th, which is Wednesday, the sun and moon are going to join in Aquarius. So again, this whole conversation about who gets to determine how you see and name and perceive yourself. You do. You have been bestowed the gift of sovereignty from your creator, from nature. Sovereignty means that you are the final authority of you. You get to determine how you see you. You get to determine the name for you. You are not a peasant. You are not American. You're not black unless you want to be. Okay? Someone's calling me and I can't answer. Right? So there's that. Next. So all of that to say that new moon on the other side of Mercury stationing retrograde. And just for the record, Mercury stationing retrograde is like now. Like Mercury is moving super duper slow. And the day after Mercury stations retrograde, it's still going to be moving super duper slow for several days. So all of that to say that that phenomenon is not boxed into one day. So the fact that the direct station degree is being triggered by a new moon, just know that all of the stories of last week that made last week just so crazy, especially the top end of the week, know that we've been really dealing with this since December, right? We've been dealing with since the pre-shadow, when Mars crossed over 21 Aquarius on December 10th and crossed out of that 5 degrees Pisces on the 31st, right? So we've already been dealing with this story. So really think back. How does December connect with last week, Monday? And then we're going to see how it connects again next week, okay? Let's go on. I'm not going as fast through this as I wanted to, but luckily that's really the biggest thing. Okay, the following week, the 13th and 14th and 15th of March are digging busy. So this is another way that December has really been a foreshadowing of this present moment. Mars, right, at that time, Mars in Aquarius squared Jupiter. Mars in Aquarius, Aquarius squared Jupiter in Scorpio. I wrote so much about this because that was really the defining feature of December, right? And I asked a lot of questions about, you know, the price that you pay for sovereignty, and what does it mean? Oh man, how did I say this in a tweet? I said the square between planets in Aquarius and planets in Scorpio says save your body before you save your life. That's super deep. Save your body before you save your life, right? So we know that self-preservation and the entitlement to life and body are kind of two layers of something. Saving your body might mean that you give up your life, your lifestyle, right? But saving your life does not entitle you to a body, right? So we can see, for example, in the movements for Black liberation, that they were intent upon saving their life before they saved their body. They were willing to give up their bodies in order to save their life, meaning they were willing to put themselves in harm's way. I'm thinking about the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. They were willing to give up their bodies in order to save their life, because their life ensured, saving their life ensured that those who came after them would be entitled to a certain level of dignity and sovereignty and dominion over themselves, right? So now with Mercury in Aquarius, Sun in Aquarius, the week of March 13th, 14th, and 15th, right? We get that whole conversation again. You're going to save your body, you're going to save your life. Saving your life looks like I have a body, so let's set that aside. The quality of life, how I experience myself, how I perceive myself, how I show up in the world, right? This is my life. The things that, as I inhabit this body, the things in the world that we feel entitled to. So just thinking about this conversation of saving your life before you save your body. Which one, right? That square means you got to choose. And there's no happy relationship between the planets. So the first one on the 13th is Sun in Aquarius square Jupiter in Scorpio. So that's a really ugly square, because Sun is in the sign of its detriment in Aquarius, and Jupiter in Scorpio is just like, why am I here? Right? You are right. Those people their lives have been immortalized, even though they've given up their bodies. Malcolm X, Fannie Lou Hamer, Medgar Evers, right? All of these people, Martin Luther King Jr., right? And all of those who fought, whether in South Africa or Brazil or America, wherever the diaspora is, we've all been fighting for freedom. And so many of us, I'm thinking about even in Cuba, so many of us have, in our ancestry, have decided that our lives were worth more than our bodies, right? So that week, the Sun is going to square Jupiter. Mercury is going to square Jupiter for the second time, right? And this is the second time in Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, squaring Jupiter in Scorpio. Now, the day before that square, though, Mercury goes back into Aquarius. So March 14th, Mercury goes back into Aquarius, where it's going to wrap up that retrograde movement. So it'll be there for about 14 days. And it's going to like go right over the sun. So as soon as this Mercury and the sun are going to conjoin at 0 Pisces, and then Mercury is going to go back into Aquarius, and boom, right at that moment, 29 degrees is squaring Jupiter. So when Mercury is busy like that, we know we're having a lot of conversations. There's a lot of contracts or verbal communication, agreements, bickering, lots of using words to try to figure out how we're going to work this thing out. We know the news cycle is going to be super duper duper busy at that time. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's not get too caught up. I got to go fast. Okay. The following week. Oh, see, I'm doing this. The following week, Venus. Oh my God. Okay. Venus and Mars have been struggling to try to come together and have a conversation and talk about something, because Venus went retrograde the last quarter of 2018. And so Venus, normally the quicker moving planet, has been so slow, and Mars has been like, right? Mars has been like, I'm on my way, right? And Venus is like, I'm coming for you. But they finally catch up. That is on Thursday, March 21st. Look at this, 29 degrees again. Venus at 29 degrees of Capricorn, square Mars at 29 degrees of Aries. Cardinal convergence was the theme of 2018, and it's so like, God, we got to get a taste of that too. Oh, so much going on. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but Venus square Mars says, I really like this, and Mars is like, but if you get it, you're going to be imprisoned, right? Venus square Mars in the natal chart is just basically saying what you like, right? And how you love, the need to be liked, the need to be loved, the need to be accepted, the capacity to conform and adapt and assimilate. See, Venus in Capricorn is just like, wow, so this is what we got. Great. This is what we're going to work with. Let's figure out how to make it work, right? What's the guy from Project Runway? And he's like, make it work, right? That's Venus in Capricorn. Venus in Capricorn is like, oh, dude, on Project Runway, make it work. What's his name, y'all? I can't even think of it. Anyway, so he's like, yeah, make it work. And Mars is just like, Mars in Aquarius is just like, I am breaking free by the strength of my own will. I am entitled to have what I want because I can go get it. Who gonna check me, boo? And Venus in Capricorn is like, I mean, you could just do whatever you want, but you're not gonna have no friends. Ain't nobody gonna like you. Those are real decisions we have to make, right? That day, the 21st, Venus enters Aquarius. Dag, again. We got to go through this. See what this is really interesting. The planet's so spread out. Mars was in Aquarius way back in December. Mercury is still there at this time. Sun left Aquarius on the 14th. And here come old Venus all late to the party, like, hey, where everybody at? What's up, right? And apparently everybody left, right? Apparently everybody left Aquarius except for Mercury, and Mercury's moving backwards, and Venus is just like, what did I just walk into, right? So let's not hash that out too much. Let's just leave that where it is. Okay. Oh, yes. Friday, March 22nd. Mars enters Taurus. Mars is the booking ahead of everybody, right? Mars is like what year was that? That was 2017, where Mars was far ahead in the zodiac because Mars had stationed retrograde in Scorpio in 2016. So by the time it got moving forward, all the other planets were behind it in the zodiac. So Mars just went retrograde in Capricorn in 2018. And so now by the time all the planets are catching up with it, Mars is ahead. So ain't nobody in Taurus except for Mars. Mars is just like burning stuff up in the zodiac by itself because ain't nobody there to tell it no. Okay. Mars in Taurus is in the sign of its detriment. Excuse me. Detriment. What does that mean? It does not mean, right? It doesn't mean that. Detriment means you have been stripped of all power and authority. You're not the boss, right? So that means that Mars has no authority in Taurus. No authority. Just imagine going somewhere where not only do you not make the rules are contrary to your nature. It's like you being a sword fighter, right? And you're in a room full of kids. Like, yo, you gotta chill with that sword fighting stuff. You gotta talk nice to the kids. You know, you gotta like get down on the floor and play with them. You know, you gotta make them some snacks and make sure they got bedtime. And the sword fighter is just like, how you do that, right? So astrologically, that means that Venus is the boss of Mars when it's in Taurus. Venus is running things. It's the boss of Mars in Taurus. And Venus is like me, love me, I need you to survive. Ooh, that feels good. Do that again, right? That's what Venus says. And Mars is just like, I'm just trying to have good boundaries and you keep touching me. Like, why are you touching me? Oh, that's funny. Mars in Taurus is like, yo, I'm just trying to defend my body, my life, my being. I'm just trying to do what I want to do, get stuff done. And people keep touching Mars. And Mars is like, don't touch me, please, thanks. Right? No, seriously though. Mars in Taurus means that even your anger and sense of self-preservation is subservient to your need to like people, to conform and adapt and assimilate, right? So you're more likely to just go along with things as far as in a social and a societal sense. You're more likely to fit into the roles and expectations that have been given to you. Now, if Mars is in Taurus is like square Venus in Aquarius, then there's like an issue here. Or square Venus in Leo, there's like an issue here, right? Or maybe that's not a good planet. Maybe let's say square like Saturn in Leo or Saturn in Aquarius, because it's like, you are a woman, dress like this. You are girl, wear this dress, put on these socks. And Aquarius is like, something's not right here. Scorpio's like, something's not right here. Why are they calling me a girl like I'm not, right? So that's the struggle with Taurus. But Mars is heading up for that opposition with Jupiter in Scorpio, which isn't going to be until April. So that's that on that. We're almost done. 28th, Mercury stations direct at 21 Aquarius. So what is this? The 28th of March is Mercury direct at 21 Aquarius, right? Then the 6th of March is the new moon at 21 Aquarius. And the 18th of February is Mercury entering its retrograde shadow at 21 Aquarius. And then December 10th, 2018 is Mars at 21 Aquarius. So let's lay those out. December 10th, February 18th, March 6th, and December 28th, right? There is a thread connecting those dates. Let's bring them together. What's the story that it's telling? All right. Mercury stationing direct simply means stop, move forward, and we got to resolve this once and for all. Tired of rehashing old stuff. Tired of going back. But you know what? Sometimes Mercury retrogrades are really good. Already, for many people, just Mercury being in its shadow is bringing back stuff from December, right? In a positive way. I know someone who was waiting for a payment and it didn't happen in December. But now it's happened, right? Because those same degrees are being triggered. So don't always think that Mercury retrograde means your life is over and you're going to be stuck in the wherever, right? Mercury retrograde can simply mean this thing that you did not get worked out at such and such time gets worked out or resolved now, often during the retrograde, so that once the planet is moving forward, now you can move on. Now you can move forward. Now you can build on top of whatever you revisited and rehashed out during the retrograde or the shadow, right? So don't be scared of Mercury retrograde. You just have to mind Mercury. When a planet is moving slow, it's telling you to pay attention. It's telling you to be on the lookout. Mercury is telling you to look out for phone calls, conversations, watch your words, say what you mean, right? And also be gracious with other people as they're speaking. Be gracious with other people as you're communicating and corresponding. Be gracious with other people as you're driving and moving. Like, don't be so aggressive. Chill, right? So all of that to say, don't be scared of Mercury retrograde. It ain't the boogeyman. Ain't no retrograde, no boogeyman. And people done taught you all wrong. Don't let them get inside your head. Okay? Last thing happening in March is Jupiter enters Sagittarius. I am not going to talk about that here today because that is a topic deserving of its own everything. I have Jupiter in Sagittarius on my ascendant, so I'm just so excited about my Jupiter return. But to let you know, Jupiter enters Sagittarius on March 29th. It leaves Sagittarius on April 22nd. Jupiter is going to station retrograde it can't even really get good into Sagittarius. Jupiter is going to station retrograde at 0 Sagittarius on April 10th, and then it's going to leave on the 22nd back into Scorpio. So we're going to talk about that. All of this stuff I've been talking about, the intentional why, your origin story, why you believe what you believe, making this world and your life a living testimony of your intentions and convictions. Yes, 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 my friends, we are going to have so many conversations about it, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. I got some stuff up my sleeve. Can you see it? It's stuff up there for you. All right. This was great. That was like a super fast March forecast. It looks like Instagram didn't hate my guts because it didn't cut off my video in the middle like it did yesterday. So here's to hoping that it lets me download it and save it and then upload it when I get to the crib. All right. You guys are so awesome. You can find my videos that I do on here if you miss it or come on the tail end or would prefer to be able to navigate the video a little bit better. You could just go to YouTube. Look up the People's Oracle on YouTube or Lyndana, Lyndayna on YouTube, and it's a lot of videos up there. So that's that on that, my friends. The rest of this week ain't talking about nothing except for Mercury moving slow, annoying the crap out of all of us. Is there anything I'm missing? Nope. That's it. All right, you guys enjoy your Thursday. Bye.